In this video, I'm going to give you 12 kayak fishing do's and don'ts. Let's go. Hey, Castro here. Welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here and you're learning to kayak fish, consider subscribing. Hit that bell notification so you don't miss anything. So in this video, I'm going to give you 12 kayak fishing do's and don'ts. Here, number one is do have a ritual. Don't forget the basics. Okay, so let me explain to you what I mean by a ritual. A ritual is basically like the process you go through every time you go kayak fishing and come back from kayak fishing. This ritual is going to help you remember everything you need. Of course, you're not going to have a ritual when you first start out, but I'm going to encourage you, try to sort one out immediately so that you have a list of the stuff you're going to take every time you go on a session, and you have a place where those things live. Okay, when they're not on your kayak, when you're not fishing with them, you got to know where those live in your house or in your garage or wherever you keep those things, so that every time you initiate your process of getting ready, that stuff is right there where you expect it to be. And then if it's not there, then and you haven't moved it into your truck or before you leave your house, then you know something is wrong, right? So if you know where everything is supposed to be, it becomes a habit to go to those spots for those things. And then if for whatever reason something gets lost or misplaced, next time you're going out, you know, hey, this is where I usually keep my drive. Why isn't my drive here? Oh yeah, okay, I left it in my kayak last night. Okay, that's fine. But you'll get like a spidey sense of you're missing something before you get to where you're gonna fish and you forget your drive or like your paddle or your PFD. All that stuff should be part of your ritual, and it's gonna help you actually get ready faster. And number two is do know how to swim. Don't depend on your PFD. Even though a PFD can save your life, it's not foolproof. And if you're panicking, some people can drown while they're panicking wearing a PFD. Okay. You might already know how to swim, but I thought it would be worth mentioning it, especially because there's a lot of beginners watching these videos. So make sure that you know how to swim before you go kayak fishing. Number three is do wear your PFD, even though we just talked about it. Even though it's not 100%, it's still better than zero, right? So wear your PFD. Don't just have it on your kayak. You gotta wear it, okay? Yeah, I know the regulations might say that you gotta have a PFD with you, and the Coast Guard or the Harbor Patrol might not bother you if there's a PFD in your kayak, but it's worthless because you're not wearing it. You have to be wearing it. So do have a PFD in your kayak and don't forget to put it on, okay? So you gotta wear it, okay? You can't just have it, you gotta wear it. So number four is do be visible and don't assume boaters can see you, or jet skis or sailboats or whatever, fill in the blank. Don't assume they can see you. In the grand scheme of things, when you're out there in the bays, a kayak is actually pretty small relative to the size of a boat, right? So you're more difficult to see. Also, you're lower you're closer to the water. If there's any kind of like wakes or like surge, then you are gonna, in some of those instances, you'll be shorter than the actual wake. So when you look at you from the side, a wake could cover you from that perspective, and it'll look like you're not there, right? So you gotta be super careful. It's on you to be visible. So that's where like the flags come in, like the lights, and just make sure that you keep track of boats around you, especially if you're fishing in a high traffic area in the channel or whatever. And it's your responsibility to be aware of your surroundings, right? I know if they hit you, it's their fault, but still, like anyway, yell, whistle, wave your arms if it looks like they're not, if it looks like somebody's bearing down on you and they don't see you. If it's one of those gigantic, like a cruise ship or like a transport ship, one of those big ones, or like a military boat, they're not gonna stop. You need to get out of there. You need to if the boat's coming at you this way, you need to stop, and you're here, you need to paddle that way or that way as quick as you can. And those boats are huge, but they're silent and they're pretty fast, okay? So you gotta be careful. Keep your head on a swivel. Okay, number five is do bring water. Don't forget to actually drink it. I see a lot of guys that bring water with them on the kayak, and then by the end of the day, they still have a full thing of water, or they've only taken a couple swigs of it. Make sure you hydrate throughout the day, because by the time you feel thirsty, it's already too late. One of the symptoms of being dehydrated is the feel of thirst. So if you start to feel thirsty, it's kind of too late. You kind of have to keep drinking throughout the day. Take a sip every 20 minutes, every half an hour, just so you're hydrating throughout the day, because you're out there sweating. You might not know it. The sweat will come out of you and evaporate before you notice that you're sweaty, but your body is using water to cool you down. So make sure You hydrate throughout the day, so do bring water and don't forget to actually drink it. Number 6 is do have communications. Bring your cell phone and also a VHF radio. And the don't is don't forget to charge it the night before. I've even done this where I have my radio with me, I take it out there and I turn it on and I realize that I haven't charged it and it's completely dead or about to die. So you make sure you bring some kind of communications and make sure you charge them the night before. Number 7 is do have a dry bag so that you can keep all of the stuff that you don't want to get wet, like your keys with your alarm, your phone, your VHF radio, first aid kit, a lamp, like a headlamp, a whistle, like a whistle you can wear on your PFD, but you want to have a whistle always. It's part of your safety. And don't put sharp things in your dry bag unless, like, if you put a knife in there, make sure it's a folded knife that's closed. It's not gonna have any pointy things sticking out. Also, or a sheath. Yeah. So bring a dry bag, put your communication stuff in there, first aid kit, all the important stuff you want to keep dry, and don't put anything sharp in there that's going to puncture your bag. Number 8 is do check your drain plugs. Make sure that they're closed. Don't sink. Or don't sink. Also, don't forget either a pump. You can use a sponge, like a big peanut sponge, like a big peanut shaped sponge, or a little scoop to bail the water out of your kayak. Have something like a pump, a sponge, or a scoop to get water out of the hull, to get water out of your kayak in case you do forget to put in your drain plugs, or you just start taking on water for whatever reason, okay? Have something to get water out of your boat. So number 9 is do have leashes for the items you don't want to lose, and don't forget to actually attach those leashes to the items you don't want to lose. I've seen guys that have a ton of leashes on their rigs, but they don't actually leash their rods, for example, and so they flip and they lose their stuff, and they have leashes but they didn't have them connected to the rods, so what's the point, right? So another time when that happens is when you're switching rods. Sometimes people will unleash a rod while they're using it, and then they'll set it back down and forget to put the leash back on before switching to a different rod that they unleash, and by the end of the day all the rods don't have leashes again, and anything can happen, right? So you gotta be careful. So if you're using leashes, make sure you actually use them. Number 10 is about when you transport your kayak. Do use cam straps. Don't use ratchet straps. So a cam strap you can put the strap through the cam, you pull it as hard as you can, and the cam will pinch it at that tension, okay? Or at that, however hard you pull it, that's how tight it's going to be. It's how tight it's going to stay because the cam's going to basically pinch on it. Okay, and that's pretty good. That's good enough for your kayak. It'll stay in place because most kayaks are wider in the center than they are. They're kind of like they shape like this, right? If you take a kayak, it's like this, and you exaggerate the shape, it's kind of like this, right? So if you tie it across the top here, and it just pinches down to that diameter of the whole hole in the front, and then also in the back. For the most part, that diamond shape is not going to be able to scoot to the front or scoot to the back. It'll be stuck between those two loops, right? What happens with people that are new to transporting a kayak, they think tighter is better, and they get the ratchet straps that you can actually use for moving furniture and stuff, and they tie it around the kayak, and then they kind of just ratchet it. And next thing you know, like the hull itself will get deformed. Like there's ridges along the hull that keep its shape, but those ridges can't hold up under all the pressure from the ratcheting strap. So what ends up happening is you end up pinching the hull, right? And now the hull gets like warped and messed up. And even worse, if you go a long distance or you forget to take your kayak right off the car when you get home, then the heat warms up the kayak, and then now you have a permanent indentation in your boat that really doesn't track well in the water, and you basically just ruin your boat. So don't use ratchet straps, use the cam straps, okay? The cam straps where you just kind of hand tighten them. After you hand tighten and pulled, then you loop it around and make a knot, and you should be good to go. There's no reason to have the ratchet straps. Number 11 is do leave a fishing plan with someone you can check in with, and don't forget to actually check in. So when we go out, a lot of times we go out to and we stay out for longer than we need to. Call that person and say, hey, you know what? We're staying out an extra 4 hours. Staying out an extra hour. I'll call you when I'm done, right? It could be your wife, it could be your friend, it could be your significant other, whatever. Just leave a plan with somebody so they know that you've gone missing if you don't report back. by the end of the night, right? Or if you're gonna fish throughout the night, that's fine. Be like, hey, you know what? I'm staying out here all night. I'm gonna pull an all-nighter. I'll see you in the morning. But let somebody know that you're out there. In case something happens, they at least know where you were the last time that you were in contact with them, okay? And yeah, so, and the worst thing you can do is have a plan and then not follow through at the very end when you make it home and say, oh yeah, I'm back, right? Just don't, you don't need to stress people out. Just make sure you communicate with whoever your designated plan holder is gonna be. I don't even know what you call that person. Your emergency contact, I guess? All right, here we go. Number 12 is do wear sunscreen or SPF clothing like gaiters and hats and gloves, because you don't want to get skin cancer, right? So don't get skin cancer. Also, don't forget to cover your hands. A lot of fishermen have skin problems on their hands because most of the time the top of the hands up here, the fingers aren't covered. Even when you wear a shirt or put sunscreen, a lot of people don't put sunscreen on their actual hands. So I like to wear gloves. Gloves are great. I usually have the gloves that are cut off at the fingertips, but most of the time my fingers are curled in when I'm fishing, so they're out of the sun for the most part. But yeah, I put sunscreen on my thumb, the part that sticks out, and my fingertips, the parts that stick out. But yeah, that's super important, super crucial. Okay, so those are the 12 do's and don'ts I promised you, but I have another 7 don'ts that I'm gonna tell you right now. Here we go. Number 1, don't surf your kayak in, okay? It's gonna roll you. If you're fishing La Jolla or any kind of shore, try not to surf your kayak in. If you surf your kayak in, you're gonna get rolled. It's just a matter of time, okay? Come in right behind the wave, like the waves are coming, right? And then comes a wave. When the waves come, you want to start paddling so that you come right behind it, and then you're right behind it, and then it crashes, and then you're gonna ride the foam and you're gonna make it out. Okay? So try to like piggyback on the waves on the way back in. Do not try to ride the waves because you will get flipped. And on that note, whenever you do come in, make sure you put away all the actual lures on your fishing rods. Put all those lures away. You don't want any hooks lying around. Even if I know it's a lot of work to retie that stuff, but you should probably retie anyways on the next session. So put all the hooks away. Take all the hooks off of your rods. Just tie a little loop so you can stick it on the little hook saver, and then that way the line is still in all the guides, but there's no free flying hooks anywhere in case you do flip, and you don't want to get stuck with the hook while the kayak's flipped, because there's a bunch of chaos that can happen. Don't number 2 is when you're fishing on the kayak, you have such a big fishing space. It's amazing because you can be on the water, you can go anywhere you want. So be extra cautious when you see somebody fishing from shore. Don't crowd them, okay? You have the option to go fish somewhere else. The people fishing from shore don't. I mean, yeah, they could go down the shore a little bit more, but let them have that. You know, their casting range is super limited. Their fishing range is limited being on shore. So remember when you are on shore. Don't be the guy who goes and casts and crowds the guy that's fishing from shore because the guy's got no other option. You have options. Use those options instead of crowding some guy fishing from shore, okay? Another don't is, if you're fishing docks, do me a favor, do yourself a favor, do the whole kayak fishing community a favor. Don't hit the boats with your lures. Don't hit the boats with your kayak. Plan it, practice so that you don't hit any kind of structure, right? The last thing I hate hearing is like a ping of a lure hitting a hole or like the dock even, right? Try to stay away from that because that kind of makes everybody else look bad. Another don't is don't lean. I see a lot of people that are new to kayak fishing. They'll have all their stuff in their little crate behind their seat, and it's easy to do this and look around your seat, and before you realize it, you're flipped because your head is pretty heavy. So your head and your shoulders needs to be right in the top of your kayak. It needs to be centered with your kayak. As soon as you start leaning your head over or leaning your shoulders over to kind of look around your chair, you're gonna flip. Okay, so the best option to do that if you need to get in your crate is to actually pivot in your chair, turn around like this. You can even hang your legs out. You can even put your legs out of the water legs on the water if you want. But the way you look into your crate is by twisting your body around this way and looking this way. See, my head is still in line with my chair, right? And in line with the center of my kayak. if you try to do this kind of stuff where you look around, I can already feel myself tipping over even in this chair. Like there, and you're gonna tip. So, and by the time you realize you're tipping over, it's gonna be too late, and you're gonna be in the water. Okay, and if all that stuff is not leashed, forget about it. There goes your crate, and your crate. You're basically gonna just dump your crate into the water. Okay, so number 5 is don't reel your fish all the way. Okay, on a kayak, you want to give yourself at least a rod's length of line between the tip of your rod and the fish. Okay, so you see the fish, it's coming at you, you're reeling it in, you're excited. Stop reeling when the fish is about 2 rods. When the fish is about 2 rods lengths away from your kayak. Okay, and then what you do is instead of reeling, you bring your rod tip up, and that's going to continue to bring the fish forward. It's going to continue the tension on the line that you need to keep the fish hooked. And then once you bring your rod up and you're almost at straight up, before you go straight up, switch rods to your other hand. Sorry, switch the rod to your other hand. Keep that angle like this, so you're still kind of bringing the fish in, and hold the rod out here, kind of like over you, so you can reach the line with this one, and you come down and reach the line. You grab the line close to the fish, bring the fish up, and now the fish is hanging from the line right in front of you, and you can put your rod down, and you have all this extra line that gives you enough space for you to actually put your rod down, so you're not fighting your rod with tension, and you have control over the fish. And now you have that hand free. Switch the line to this hand, whatever hand you feel more comfortable lipping with. The fish is gonna be hanging like this with his mouth open, or if not, wait for it to open its mouth, and then when it's open its mouth, touch the inside of his mouth once and let go, and it's gonna go crazy. And then when he's done going crazy, he's already tasted your skin. Go in there again and grab it and lip it. Keep it this way. Take the hook out, and then you can hold it this way and show it to the camera. Whatever. Let it go. All right. But yeah, so don't reel all the way. Don't reel all the way to the tip of your rod, or even halfway to the tip of your rod, because you're gonna have that rod under tension. It's gonna be loaded down, and you're gonna be trying to reach for the fish. And if the fish shakes his head right when you reach for it and it spits the hook, that rod is gonna basically pull the hook right into your hand or to your arm or to your face. Okay, so be careful. Okay, so that was number 5. Here's number 6. This applies mostly to the guys that have drives, like Hobie guys, or any other kind of drive system. Even though you have your drive, always don't forget your paddle. Okay, because for whatever reason your drive can break, something can happen, and you want to have your paddle with you. Okay, I use my paddle maybe 5% of the time. 5% of the time. Sometimes if I don't plan my launch, just right, if I don't kick off the edge hard enough, I might have to shift to a paddle just to get deep enough to pull my drive in. Same thing when I'm landing, but it's rare at this point. But I do always have it with me, because what if something breaks? I can always use my paddle to get back to shore. Like for example, my rudder broke one day. I just popped it back up, and I used my paddle to steer my kayak while I was paddling with the drive. But anyway, make sure you have your paddle with you no matter what, even if you have a drive system. Last don't have for you for this video, number 7, is don't land with your drive in. So I know that Hobie says you can push one pedal forward and the fins will lock up against the side of the hull, and you can just kind of ride it into the sand. Yeah, it does work, but I want my stuff to last long, and I don't think it's a good idea to land it with your fins up, with your fins in the hull. I recommend that you just take the drive out, make sure it's tethered onto your kayak somehow, and just pedal in. And when you pedal in, don't go right into the sand nose first. If you're landing the bays, I'm not talking about the ocean where there's waves. I'm talking about the bays where it's calm. You don't want to hit the boat ramp with the front of your hull. You want to line it up so you're sideways, and you kind of drift into the boat launch this way. And before your kayak even scrapes, you can just step over the side and be in the water and catch your kayak from hitting the bottom, and your kayak is actually floating the whole time. So I have a video on how to do that. Actually, I'll put it up here for you guys to check it out. It's a really cool system, a really cool way to do it. It's part of my ritual of how I launch and land my kayak. So anyway, Cool. So that's 12 do's and don'ts along with the 7 bonus don'ts. Leave a comment on this video with any do's or don'ts you think should be on this list. Want more kayak fishing info? Watch this video next. I'll see you over there. Woo!